So I wanted to make a simple little video here just explaining a little bit of fossil farming. I want to do a bit of a test for an hour to see roughly how much currency you could, in a sense, make for doing fossil farming for about an hour. But I want to go over a few things. I leveled this character. I got it to level 87 with just using Poet's Pen. Leveled with that with 2 inspired learnings. Very fun and also pretty quick. For the most part, you could build this character relatively cheap after you have it decently leveled. I mean, you could even only go to like level 75 and you'd be fine. Like I can show, this is Zizarin's tree that he has on his character that is only a level, well, it shows 69, but pretty sure it's actually higher level than that. But for the most part, the only things you're really grabbing is just every single bit of movement speed, a bit of evasion, and some life regen, so then that way you don't have to worry too much about taking instantaneous damage when you touch the darkness. And with moving so fast, shouldn't really have much of an issue of really taking much damage from the darkness. This is another skill tree though. I'll put both of these in the description. This is a lab farmer for like Uber Lab. This was from last league, but for the most part it still would be the same. Some of the gear that's used on this kind of a build for actually lab farming is a bit more expensive, but you could have this character be technically multi-purpose, have it to where you could farm Uber Lab and be able to farm for fossils. Now, some of the things that I've kind of done with my tree that's a little different is since I am level 87, I did kind of follow what Ziz was doing, but I'm sure at some point I could actually probably drop these nodes. Probably don't really need them that much. I mean, the main reason why I'm keeping it is for the life regen. Ziz grabs this for more resist, so you don't have to worry too much about it on gear, which would definitely help if you want to have it to where getting gear is even cheaper if you choose. And then I don't have this node, which it is more movement speed and life regen, but what I actually did instead was, because of branching all the way up here for just the flash nodes, and coming over here for more evasion and a little bit more movement speed, I went ahead and just took these nodes just for the life regen. Because up here this is actually 2% life regen versus over here having these nodes, which is only 1.3. So I went ahead and just grabbed that. My life regen is only 200, which is fine. I mean, that's roughly about all you honestly need. And for the most part, though, the main difference is like flasks don't really matter too much. If you wanted to have it to where you had even more evasion to go into the uh, like lower floors, like going down to like floor 60 or floor 70, and farming fossils there, you may actually want to have the other 2 flasks that give you evasion, so in that way you'll have like 70 or 80,000 and maybe even more evasion, and have it to where basically nothing can hit you, and you can go that route. Me personally, I'm just using roomies just for the extra chance of blocking, and then using this for leeching, which doesn't really matter too much. It's not going to do a whole lot, but it can keep you alive in the darkness with using Cyclone. And I'm using with blood magic with life gain on hit, and that just makes it to where every time you're hitting stuff, you're always leeching your life back to full pretty much instantly. So it works pretty well. Like you can pretty much run through the darkness, going through like small paths that kind of have a bit of distance into the darkness. You can use your your cyclone. Doesn't matter the level. You can have a low level or high level. Obviously, the higher level, you'll be able to do a bit more damage. But the other difference is the fact that it's like, yes, you could use this as your weapon. You can also just use the normal one though. Um, you can just use a Screaming Eagle. It would work just fine. The main difference, obviously, you have more damage with the Griffin. It again doesn't really matter too much. And basically with your shield, you're just wanting a shield that has a bunch of evasion on it. And then with on the tree, you're just grabbing things like this. These nodes all are basically just giving you more evasion from your shield. So that works pretty well. The other main difference is most people seem to be using the belt that is actually quite expensive. I can't think of the name of it, but it was from last league that you could only get from Reliquary Keys this league, or keys. So with that being said, I'm just using this belt because right now, for at least a 30% movement speed belt while using a flask, is at least when I last looked a few days ago, it was like 3 to 5 exalts for one that was 30% movement speed. So I just went ahead and just used this. This works just fine. Really, the main thing is just getting more movement speed while phasing, so then that way, obviously, can go even faster while phasing. And then obviously picking up enough skill effect duration, so then that way your phase run lasts for a long enough time to where basically right when it runs out, you're able to immediately use it again. So pretty much other than that, there's not much else to say. I mean, the main thing was like a lot of this gear that I'm using was gear that I was already using on the character to begin with. Like these gloves, I was already using these, and this ring, I was already using it as well. And pretty much from the tree, like you get a little bit of resist here and some more resist there, resist here. There's quite a few areas you can get resist on the tree with doing this, and pretty much just makes where you don't have to worry too much on your resist on gear. And I mean, you could probably even get away with not even having like actual capped resist, especially if you're doing low levels. For delving, probably won't really matter too much. Now, the main thing I wanted to go for with this build was having it to where I had at least the 45k evasion, so I get full movement speed from the Queen of the Forest, which is another reason why I'm also wearing Edziri's Step, and these are super cheap. I mean, I got these myself, but again, they're really cheap, and I mean, really the main thing you're going for is obviously the fact that it has high evasion, and it has even a little bit of chance to dodge spells, which, I mean, doesn't matter too much, because again, if you're doing low level stuff, it won't really matter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm going to show one run so you can kind of see what it looks like. I've been doing it for about 2 days now, and I've made roughly somewhere around about 1500 chaos. Not too bad, and not really even farming like crazy. Like I'll maybe do it for like usually like 30 minutes, and then like do something else, and then do it for maybe another 30 minutes or an hour, and then basically just kind of do that, and then go off on my other character and just kind of farm or do whatever, play another game or something. And like I say, you can do this like super simple. Each run that I'm doing is taking me roughly a minute. So yeah, I'll get into that run, and yep. Alright, so yeah, as you could see there, that was one run, took me about a minute and 11 seconds. Um, Now the aberrant ones, I typically don't really pick these ones up, honestly. If you also notice as well, this is where I'm doing it at, which is in the fungal cavern. And different biomes do have specific fossils that you can get. So obviously, like if you're doing this in a different biome, like abyssal depths, the fossils will be different. Uh, there is certain ones that are obviously more rare than others that you can find in other biomes, making it to where certain biomes can be more worth it than others. This one happens to be a pretty good path, though. There's quite a lot of areas you can go into, and the main thing to note from doing this is that obviously you want to make sure that you are not breaking any walls while you're doing that. So any of the walls you saw me like going towards, if as long as you don't break any walls on the path will always just reset. So basically, like if I was to go back in, it's going to take me back here, but if I click here, it'll reset and it'll be able to just do an entirely another run again. So it's pretty fast. And then, like once you get here, if you don't come back here, you can just as soon as you get to here, you would click the cart and go back right here immediately and go back to farming. So it goes pretty fast. Another thing is too is I have the ones that do normal items. I have those ones hidden for the resonators. Getting quite full on resonators, so yeah, and like I said, like most times I don't really pick these up. I a lot of times just leave them on the ground. Here and there I'll pick them up sometimes, but really all I'm using these for is rolling maps because they're super cheap. Like no one's really buying them it seems, and if they are, they're buying like a huge quantity or something just because they're really cheap. It's kind of up to you if you want to pick them up. I mean, I think it's like 3 to 5 of them roughly is one chaos right now. So it's not entirely amazing. Like I don't know about hardcore. Maybe it's worth it in hardcore, but um, yeah. Basically, though, I just wanted to see what I could get out of farming in an hour, and obviously you can get the currency chest as well while you're running through, even in low levels. And even doing it in this low of depth, I can still come out with, if I can get lucky enough and have at least like 2 or 3 wealth chests, you can come out with even like roughly 5 chaos in currency from just opening the chests. And then obviously, like the other random things, you could get uniques from, which is the only thing that's really worth it to me out of them. But unless you obviously get like a really good item, it's not really going to matter. A lot of times I won't even click them, and I just move on and try to just get all the fossils I can. So yeah, I basically want to do an entire hour of doing this and roughly see how much currency you could actually make. Basically, I'll just price the fossils as whatever the going rough price is, and potentially you can make even more if you like see like there's a bunch of people that are selling them all for like 2 or 3 C. You could choose to actually go one more chaos higher if you happen to have a bunch of the fossils, because most people only have like 5 or 10 fossils or something, and they're selling them for 2C a piece. And if you have like 100 of them, you could sit there and get maybe at least a chaos more because you have a huge quantity. So that's always something to take in count. I'm basically just gonna price them as like the rough value. Like if everyone's selling them all for like 2C, but because of me having a huge quantity, I might value them technically more, or at least probably get more. But I'm not gonna value it actually at that when I check everything. I basically just add everything up and roughly see what you could make in an hour. And like I said, this also isn't really like a good, like per se a good spot. Like you could definitely do this in a different biome and even lower floors and potentially get more stuff out of it. This is just working for me. It didn't really matter to me. Like I mean, even if I'm making like 200 chaos an hour, I'm completely fine with that. Cause I mean, it's like if you're farming maps the whole time, like unless you're farming like really high tier maps and you're just going super fast, you're not really going to be able to make like that much currency. And I would definitely have to say this is one of the fastest ways that you could make currency as long as you have the character to do it. So yeah, I'm going to get into doing this for an hour, and I'll see you then. Okay, so yep, this was an hour of farming here, and I got 58 aberrant fossils, which we're actually going for about 6 to 1, 60s to 1 chaos. With having so many, you could probably get a little bit more out of it. You could maybe get like 20 chaos out of all of these instead of only about 10. And then got 58 dents, which is 116 chaos. Again, maybe you could get more for having so many, but I'd be fine with 116 honestly. And they can fly out of your stash like pretty quick. And then corroded fossils, I got 16 of these. This is 32 chaos. And then I got 7 perfects, which roughly more go for about 4. There's a few people that'll sell them for 3, but they don't have too many. So yeah, and you can also even get away with actually selling them for about 5, especially if you have quite a few of them. Earlier I sold 30 of them for 150 chaos, so they definitely can sell if you have a decent amount of them. And then I got 42 of the one socket resonators, which these are actually surprisingly, these are actually half chaos. So this is about 20 chaos, 20 or 21 chaos. So not too bad there. A lot of times I don't really pick up these. And then these are actually one chaos, the two socket ones, which I'm a bit surprised that they're one chaos. But I guess these are the things that people are using the most, I suppose. And these, I have 10 of these, so this is another 10 chaos. And then these are only about half a chaos, and I only got about 6 of these. I probably would have had more of these, but there was a few that I couldn't pick up. And these are only, like I said, about half chaos, so this would only be 3 chaos. So, it's like out of the resonators, I'm a little surprised about actually the amount that you could really make from actually picking these up and potentially selling them. Uh, I mean, this would be 21, 31, 34 chaos per hour out of just the resonators. Like I said, there was a few I missed, so I mean, like upwards to maybe like 40 chaos or something out of just resonators per hour. And then with everything else here, and then all the resonators combined, there was a little bit of the currency bits that I had actually gotten. I had already just converted it all to chaos out of my stash. Like all it really was just some scours, some regrets, fusings, one alk, and a vol orb. Nothing crazy. So, but yeah, in total is 274 chaos. So I'd call that a win in 1 hour. But yep, I think that's it. I'll see you next one. Peace.